Just after saying it's easier to work with Russia than Ukraine on peace talks, Donald Trump has threatened new sanctions and tariffs on Russia over its bombardment of Ukraine. This after previously suspending U.S. aid to Kyiv in a stated bid to encourage diplomacy. Now, Trump's warning to Moscow, published on his Truth Social platform, comes hours after Russia launched a massive drone and missile attack on Ukrainian energy facilities. Trump wrote that based on the fact that Russia is absolutely pounding Ukraine on the battlefield right now, he's strongly considering large-scale sanctions and tariffs on Russia until a ceasefire and final settlement agreement on peace is reached. Soon after Trump said that he finds it easier to deal with Russia than Ukraine in efforts to end the war, he added that he trusts and believes that Vladimir Putin, reiterating his previous statement that Ukraine does not have the cards.
I think we're doing very well with Russia. But right now they're bombing the hell out of Ukraine, and I'm finding it more difficult, frankly, to deal with Ukraine. And they don't have the cards. They don't have the cards. As you know, we're meeting in Saudi Arabia on sometime next week, early. And we're talking, I find that in terms of getting a final settlement, it may be easier dealing with Russia, which is surprising because they have all the cards. I mean, they're bombing the hell out of them right now.
Despite threatening new sanctions on Russia, Trump said he understood why Russian forces had inflicted a massive bombing campaign across Ukraine overnight. Trump continues to push Ukraine hard and ordered a pause in U.S. military and intelligence assistance to Kyiv earlier this week. When asked if Putin is taking advantage of the pause, Trump shrugged off the impact of intel sharing pause and said that Putin's doing what anybody in that position would be doing right now.
Do you, Mr. President, think that Vladimir Putin is taking advantage of the U.S. pause right now on intelligence and military aid to Ukraine?
No, I actually think he's doing what anybody else would do. I think he wants to get it stopped and settled, and I think he's hitting them harder than he's been hitting them. And I think probably anybody in that position would be doing that right now.
Without U.S. intelligence, Ukraine's ability to strike inside Russia and defend itself from bombardments is significantly diminished. Washington has also now suspended Ukraine's access to U.S. government-purchased commercial satellite imagery. Ukrainian forces had been using the satellite imagery for tracking the movement of Russian troops and assessing damage after strikes. As cracks widen in Kyiv's partnership with Washington, Ukrainian Foreign Minister Andrei Sybiga held a phone call with U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio and said that Ukraine wants the war to end and the United States is essential to achieving lasting peace. President Vladimir Zelensky has also reaffirmed that Ukraine wants peace as soon as possible, ahead of talks with U.S. officials in Saudi Arabia next week. Zelensky has said that Ukraine is determined to be very constructive, adding that the theme is peace as soon as possible and security as reliable as possible. As American and Ukrainian officials meet in Jeddah, Europe's 5 main military powers will meet in Paris to discuss support for Ukraine. France's defense minister will reportedly hold talks with counterparts from Britain, Germany, Italy and Poland on Wednesday. And for more on this, our correspondent Susan Tehrani has sent us this report. Listen to this.
In a major shift, U.S. President Donald Trump is now considering imposing sweeping sanctions and tariffs on Russia unless a ceasefire and final peace deal are both reached in Ukraine. The announcement was made by the president on Truth Social and is in stark contrast with his recent rhetoric, which has more or less been aligned with Vladimir Putin's framing of the war. Now, the timing is also notable. It comes as Russia escalates its bombardment on Ukrainian infrastructures. Experts say that this isn't just about diplomacy. It's also about leverage. The Trump team recently halted U.S. military aid to Ukraine, pressuring Kyiv to come to the negotiating table. But after weeks of tension with President Volodymyr Zelensky, now we are seeing a harder stance on Russia, for now at least. Susan Tehrani reporting from New York for WION World is One.
For latest news, download the WION app and subscribe to our YouTube channel.